Hello?
Hello.
Oh, my internet or my
Bye,
sound just went like. Zing.
Oh my god. This is like so painful to watch right
Oh
here.
my goodness.
God.
Ow.
Ow, you poor little thing. I even looked down at you. I'm like, is he gonna make it?
Ow!
Those walls are, you can't even touch the walls there. It's dumb.
Like,
Yeah,
I just don't know why we overextended so hard.
Yeah, Fishgate dies.
I'm pretty sure it was Perfecti who called we can chase.
I think we
You guys-
should have.
You guys could have. You guys absolutely could have here, okay? But like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, pushing along the canyon, like you guys could have, like, no joke, like you guys could have like just hugged this corner here.
Yeah, we
and,
probably
like,
should've.
And y'all are like, no way, dude, no way,
Ah, fam, I want this Lucio.
dude. I'm living on the edge here. All right.
Gang.
Oh my god.
To be
Yeah.
fair, it was just Guile.
No, I'd like to point out we lose 2 people to a double boop on our offense as well on this canyon.
Yeah, let's just keep watching here. Let's just keep watching.
And one of them is
Perfectity
Gal.
with
Also,
the.
I feel like I've used my bubbles a lot to like save probability instead of like to enable your like aggressivity, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is that let's say that they don't push you. At the time, honestly, I have no idea when to bubble because I feel like there's no moment that we are going in aggro.
We're gonna look at that right here, actually. So I'm going to talk to that very specific
I mean,
situation.
the solution is like perfect call is like, I'm gonna go aggro, and then you bubble him.
It's
Yeah.
more than that, though. It's
Yeah.
way more than that, though. So, because like, imagine for instance if we have 2 Reinhardts that are standing right here on each other. Okay, if Perfectity calls that he's gonna just go aggro on this Reinhardt backs up, soaks in that pressure, and now he's coming back at us with bubble, right? So it's not enough right now for us to just simply call when we're going to go aggressive. We have to know when we're supposed to go aggressive because so it becomes more predictable for us to understand where we take fights. So we're going to go over that exact situation right here. It's a very specific situation right after the pause. And I want us to look at where we take this fight.
Just quite the pause.
Yeah, quite the pause, guys. Okay, so watch what happens here. And we're going to talk about what we could have done differently. Now watch Perfectity. Now he's taking a wide angle like we talked about a bit here, right? What are you guys noticing is an issue?
Keys
Can you go
in
back?
there, but no one else's.
Not even that. Not even that. It's
Can
going
you
to
go
be
back
even
and
We're all behind them.
Yeah, so
The issue is that I translate, actually.
Nope,
I could have
not even.
translated like a second earlier and saved him.
Not even the issue right here, guys. Way more than that.
Can I do it? Can I say it?
Yeah, go ahead, Perfectity. What did we talk about?
Corners.
Yeah, are we playing an actual corner here, guys?
Nope.
Not at all, right? So let's look at where we're actually taking this fight. So the corner's right here, right? This is the line, okay? So if we know that the enemy is all the way back here, is this an actual area that we can aggress into on the enemy team right now?
No.
Not at all, right? Does anyone on the team right now think this is an area that we can push into?
no.
No, right? So why are we doing it, right? That's the question. Reason that we're doing it is because we're not understanding where we're supposed to be taking engagements, and that's what we can learn, right? This is important. Now, could we take a fight right where the other team is? If we could take a fight here, how would we take that fight, guys?
From the high ground.
Yeah, like just drop on them from high ground, set up the like a crossfire from both like off tanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
right?
drop on them with yeah.
So we do have the potential to take an early fight here, but the approach needs to be different, right? That's what we're learning. Now, if, for instance, we can't, for some reason, take this fight up here, for whatever reason it is, right? Then how would we take the fight on this corner? What would we want to wait for, guys?
I mean, I'd be playing like on the left side of your line, like bottom left of your line, as Zarya probably. Here. Yeah, I'd be like here or there.
Yeah,
and then
something like
Perfectity
that.
would be there playing the inside corner. So if they push me, when they're feeding to Perfectity, and if they push Perfectity too hard, I have a crazy off angle on them.
Yeah. So for you, that's really nice, right? Now, keep in mind, what we're basically saying is that the corner that we want to take the fight is here. So we have to wait for them to kind of get here, right? We can't just push into them, right? We can't just push into them. So we imagine a situation here where they push the cart. Let's imagine that the cart is, I don't know, somewhere like in this area here. Fuck. I got my drawings. Let's say cart's like right here, okay? Now for Perfectity, holding in this kind of area here, we have the potential to push in on them if Perfectity is holding here, and right as they kind of push around this way, we just go into them this direction, right? We have that option. Now this would be an inside approach, right? The second option that we have here would be an outside approach, where as the payload pushes in through this area here, Perfectity takes an angle around this way, our Diva pushes up through here, right? And our Zarya is perfect. Yeah, you take the inside angle, right?
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of different ways that we can approach this, but ultimately here we have to wait for them to get close enough for us to actually be able to do this. Okay? So we need to wait for them not necessarily to commit. Like, we're not waiting for them to commit, because if they commit on us, now we're on the back foot. Now granted, we can push after that, but if we know where that payload needs to be, which is it needs to get to this line, once it gets to this line, and as long as they're close enough to us, we can push in on them, then we push in on them. So that's where we wait for that call, right? And we do that countdown. We're like, all right, we're going to go. And maybe it's Al who's calling it. He's like, all right, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, push, you know, and then you guys fucking go, right? Perfectity's taking outside. I see Perfectity's taking outside. Azari, I'm going to go inside. Diva goes up on high ground, pinches around the backside, right? So it's knowing those kind of trigger moments, right? And we're not even waiting on a trigger for resources right now, and that's what's important, guys. We don't need to always wait for a resource trigger. We don't always need to whittle down their shield. We don't always need to wait out bubbles, you know? Sometimes it's just about our position and where we can push into them that matters the most. So right here, this is the example I wanted to bring up. We just, you know, we end up taking a fight in a position, and, you know, you look at it now, right? Look how silly we look, right? Look at us. What are we doing, right? Like, we can't make space here, right? There's no way we can make space. Pancake, you could have, like, maybe gone up through here. Fika could have been, like, up through here, right? And we could have taken maybe a fight there, right? But we need high ground, and we don't have high ground. So right now, we're all basically firing, and this is very informative. Look at the line of fire we have right now. All in a straight line.
I don't think I meant to like go in like super aggro, or like even like about my question, right? I said like I'm not sure like even like something like when to bubble. I feel like very often I'll play with Ryan, right? And they are going to not really push in, but they will try to just get damage done for a quick, for like one swing, right? And then they will just back out with their shield to like kite the bash. And usually that's a moment that like, you know, I can like bubble my Rhine so he can get me like another swing maybe, and then he like back out and just kite the bash. And obviously that will give energy to the Zarya, build a, you know, like just do pure damage, and also likely going to force their bubble. Just because of the damage output from like, it's not only like the crossfire anymore, it's also like the Rhine swinging like into the Rhine. So
right. I mean, it does damage, right? It has to be stopped.
But I feel like we never do that.
So
we never go for these swings.
Why can't we do that here, though? Or why is it suboptimal for us to do it here, right? That's the question I want you guys to think about here, is why is it so suboptimal to do it in this area where our Reinhardt's up here? The reason why it's suboptimal in this area is because, again, if we kite, they still are going to catch us before we even catch the corner here, before we can re-engage on the other side. So if we're gonna be doing that, Pancake, I think it's fine for us to do that. I think we should be doing that, right?
Okay.
But ultimately here, we can't do that until they actually come into a space where that's something we can actually do, you know? Because like we could send Perfectity up here, but by the time he gets there,
a dead box, right?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, by the time he gets to them, by the time he even is able to swing on the Reinhardt, look how much space the enemy Reinhardt's given him, just to kind of push up, right? Like so much space.
Right.
And then they just counter engage. Like if anything, look what's happening here. We can't forget about this here, right? He's catching an off angle on Perfectity already, who's completely overextended right now, while the rest of our team's nowhere in sight. So, if we're going to be doing like the swings and stuff like that, Pancake, the way that we would want to kind of cycle our abilities here is, like, if he's swinging,
bait him in, and then Is the re-engage basically would be the swing?
Basically, yeah. Not only that, but Fika needs to be defense matrixing. He is defense matrixing here, right? Really good. But he's like, this is the end of the defense matrix, and he's not even at the Reinhardt yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is where, like, if Fika is positioned maybe up here, and our defense matrix is going across this way, that can almost set an engagement area for us, right? So if we know where Fika is with defense matrix, like if Fika's up here, imagine a situation where Fika's here, and that defense matrix goes across the entire corner where we want to actually fight in. He has that entire range where he can just swing entirely, compared to right here where, again, we have a very tight angle that Fika can even defense matrix our Reinhardt from. So he's going to end up taking damage no matter what. So when we do get into scrim, and this is something, again, I want you guys to focus on tonight when we watch some Overwatch League, I want you guys to think about the corners where they're taking engagements and how they kite back and then go back to re-engage, okay? These are the things I want you guys to focus on. So every time we watch, what corner are they playing on? Why are they playing on that corner? And what are some of the triggers that we're looking for how they engage, okay?
Wait, can you just say pause here?
Yeah.
Is that actually how narrow DM is?
Yeah.
Like the lines? That's
Yeah, well,
so-
it's
that's so
very
tiny.
narrow. It's like literally defense matrix is like this. Like, not even kidding, it's like this.
So a little wider than the...
Yeah, it's as wide as Diva is fat. So
I also just feel like, just based on positioning alone, we're being forced to use resources, whereas if we were positioned correctly, they would be forced to use resources compared to us.
yeah.
Which is why Perfectity is like in such a shit spot 90% of the time.
I feel
mean-
like we just need to abuse high ground. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
always
like
need to think
I
about
feel
high
like
ground.
Zen should be high ground, Diva should be high ground, Zarya could possibly be on high ground, Lucio
So-
could also be high ground.
Our Zenyatta could be up here, for instance, like up in this area, and it would be fine. Could even be here. Like I would prefer Rio to actually be a more aggressive angle here and kind of position in this area so that he has this entire angle to kind of work with, as opposed to kind of the limited angle that he's giving himself, like right here.
I also think
Who was that? Oh, it was Pancake.
in general, just having Rio on the high ground just doesn't allow Lucio that easily to go on the high ground.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like if Rio is just on the bottom and Lucio's smart enough, he would just immediately be on the high ground.
so we have an option here also where, like, we understand, like, they're gonna push payload in through here. Let's imagine like, we'll call it a set play right now. It's not really a set play, but we imagine a rotation here where we're actually holding this corner. We rotate all the way back up around and we change the location for them, you know? Like, we basically wrap around on them and force them. Like, we can suspect that not everybody on their team is going to recognize the rotation that we make coming back up around here, and we actually drop down and kill maybe their Zen or something, you know? So, like, we can do those types of plays where, you know, we kind of bait them in through here, and then maybe even our Reinhardt holds this area. I mean, probably not our Reinhardt, or our Diva kind of holds this area here as the rest of us rotate around on backside, you know? Like, it's not a far rotation at all. Like, it's certainly an option that we can take. And again, we might potentially catch somebody out if we do something like that. I mean, worst case scenario, we have high ground now, right? So, and we don't end up dropping down on them. But ideally, again, we want to be holding this high ground, right? But this isn't always going to be like the case. Like, we're not always going to have such a defensible position like this, right? So there might be a corner where, like, we don't have this high ground, but we still need to make sure we're understanding where we're taking the fight, guys. All right. So that's the big thing I just wanted to go over here. It was just understanding where we need to take fights and understanding how we work from corner to corner. And if we want to make it more predictable for us, Pancake, if we take the fights at the right corners, we can aggress around these corners with an idea of when we're actually going to be using our bubbles, as opposed to just simply using them, you know, like in moments that we feel like we're supposed to. We'll know that that's when I'm supposed to use the bubble. So, all right. I think this is good for now. I think this is stuff that we needed to go over and things that we can kind of like continue to kind of work on. But I do want to do some like live analysis with you guys of the OWL matches, so we can kind of understand more advanced rotations and like why teams are rotating the way they are. So
Is this Law in your chat?
yeah.
Dude, Law used to be on my team a year and a half ago, man. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, dude. He's pretty cool.
Isn't a good team to study